And welcome back to What If Minato Survived, Part 14? I checked earlier, I think we're on 14. The only housekeeping I really need to do is someone asked about basically where everyone ranks. Because in the original, only Shikamaru became a Chunin. And that's fair to ask. Really, I don't think it matters much after I don't think it immediately matters much after the fact for Part 1, because nothing happened. There was no rescue Sasuke mission or anything like that in this version. But really what we would be asking is, where are they all after the training during the... where are they during the 3-year training between Part 1 and Shippuden? And that's a good question. The majority of them they're all at minimum tuning. I will say this. Based on personality, we know Neji was for a fact a Jonin. I would go so far as to say Sasuke is probably a Jonin, kind of following his brother's footsteps. Naruto is also probably a Jonin, just, again, keeping up with his dad and all that. And Sakura probably used that motivation to become a Jonin as well. So there's that. Also, how strong is everyone? Well, that is actually a very unique thing here. Not unique, but interesting thing, I should say. And this is due to the whole fact that, well, there is no training test this time around to determine how strong, to show off how strong Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura are, because there's no need for it. They've been in the village the whole time, or around the village in Naruto's case. So actually what happens is, we catch up to the kidnapping of Gaara. Now, Akatsuki. I just need to reiterate what Akatsuki is like right now. The Akatsuki, we do have Nagato. We still have Nagato in pain, but replacing Obito is two versions of Zetsu. You have the black Zetsu and you have the white Zetsu. They are probably implied towards the rest of the Akatsuki to be like brothers in some way, shape, or form, relatives. And probably referred to as white and black. They probably maybe aren't even referred to as Zetsu, just for the sake of clarity. This, by the way, will be a shorter episode for a very specific reason that I'll talk about at the end. But that's not saying I won't get at least 15, 17 minutes. I'm just saying it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode. But yeah, there's still Akatsuki, so Deidara and Sasori still kidnap Gaara. So when word of that gets out, Team 7 goes out, who's had the close relationship with Gaara, is tasked with going to rescue him. Now, as they go out, they obviously, and Kakashi goes with them as well, because that is the true Team 7 here. They meet up with Temari. Temari thanks Naruto, saying that, look, I met him one time, and he just seemed, despite all his, I looked past everything, he just seemed sad. He seemed angry, and I wanted to help him. And I consider him my friend. No matter what. It's like, and Temari thanks Naruto. They go, Chu attacks. Naruto gets in the way. Gee, I was just kidding. And now the question is, I didn't really get into much of what Sakura did. I mean, obviously, Sasuke was probably training with his father, probably even learning a little bit more from Kakashi, because he can. Kakashi is said to have copied over 1,000 jutsu, and we know Naruto was trained between Jiraiya and Minato. But what about Sakura? Was she learning on the Tsunade when they went to get Tsunade? I would say this. I think Tsunade definitely would see the potential in Sakura. Sakura wouldn't get the 3 full years of training, obviously, but she would definitely train under her when she could. I think she probably did get some training. I do think that. She's not as strong as she would normally be in the canon, but I think she's got enough skill under her belt to help save Kakuro's life in this case, at least to draw a good portion of the poison. So they go off. Obviously, you would get the Kasame, what would have been Itachi, but here it's not Itachi thing going on here. Itachi, by the way, is going to be stable in this version. He's still sick. Tsunade said that it's going to take a while for her to really, treat him. But she's most as a medical doctor, she's probably said that she'll be able to save him. And I'm just checking something real quick here for a moment. Um, again, I'll explain it at the end. Um, so yeah, I think that what we get here, honestly, I think what we get here is just a white Zetsu's being used for one of Zetsu's abilities to have multiples of himself, really, because we know there are multiple white Zetsus, and they're probably being grown through the help of black Zetsu at this point. So white Zetsu probably is basically used as a as a stopgap similar to Itachi, not Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu hangs out in the back. But again, unlike Itachi, these guys easily take care of him. Like, he's multiplying stuff, he's using wood release, but with Sasuke, fire jutsu to kind of keep the wood at bay, and Naruto having as much control over Kurama as he probably does at this point, which that is something I should address, how much control he has at this point. As before, he only had control over the One-Tails. Here, he actually probably has a really good, solid control. As I said, his relationship with Kurama has probably gotten a lot better. He has not gotten his real Fox mode yet, the glowing Sage of Paths mode looking form. But he does have access to like the basic chakra form. I'd even go so far as to say this: he might actually have access to a couple of the higher tails beyond the 3, and still have control in that, because him and Kurama are on at least better terms than what they were in the original. Maybe going up to 6 tails. After that, Naruto can't go any higher than that. That's my best indication. But Naruto, just maybe even going basic chakra control from the 9 tails, is able to overcome Zetsu. Zetsu's not an Itachi level fighter, obviously. So they get there, they get to rescuing Gaara. Naruto sees Gaara, despite all of his mentoring and training by his dad, trying to keep cool. He sees Gaara, and he kind of just, again, the rage kicks in. He goes immediately into One Tail, and Deidara tries to fly off. Unfortunately, despite the fact he's pissed, he's still able to keep his eye calm. He's like, Kakashi, hold on, and just flings a kunai right at the bird. Like, huh? What's this? And he just sees the kunai. Being a ninja of the stone, he recognizes that kunai, and that seems like, no, Rasengan Chidon, and lightning blade, and he just ripped the bird apart, and Deidara's got to get to save his ass, like, oh god, it's like, no, just like, Kakashi just like, I have Gaara, it's like, he's Naruto, do you have him? I got him, and all of a sudden, Naruto pulls out a couple more kunai, because I remember, I said at only half of the year, or half the 3 years of training, he at least had a flying Raijin down. But now he's got a couple more. He still can't do like the mass dozens of them like his dad can, but a good couple of them, oh yeah, he can. To which he just throws them at Dead. Like, oh, no. Again, he does basically a mock like flying Raijin blitz like his dad would, and just starts like cleave through him. just scares living piss off. Now, I'm trying to figure out where Deidara used the clay clone, because we know he lost both his arms. We know that happened, and we know that happened while he was still in the air. My guess is when he ate the clay. That's when he activated the clay clone jutsu. It's very possible also he did that prior to even falling to the ground. So he made the clone right from the get. As soon as he knew he was going to be falling to the ground, he used some of his clay, made the clone, and all that. So yeah, I would say in this version there might be a clay clone still on the ground. There might be a clay clone still on the ground, but more than likely what it is that he got blitzed and he's taken down. Deidara is just straight out taken down in this version. And obviously Zetsu would show up for the ring later on. But between Sasuke, Sakura, and Chio against Sasori, that proves to be a bit more difficult, but not impossible, as Sasuke's Sharingan makes it very easy to learn how to avoid said moves, or said movements and patterns. And, sorry, I'm spacing out a little bit today. It is still a little bit early. I apologize. So, yeah, he's able to dodge more effectively. Sakura is being manipulated by Chiyo. And as I always state, against the third Kazekage, I do believe like lightning release is probably going to be effective against the magnet release because they're related. So it helps destabilize the iron sand of the magnet release. So that Sasuke is able to at least keep that at bay. Altogether, they will eventually beat Sasori because they now have the extra body of Sasuke, who's more powerful than either of them. It just takes a little bit of effort. Ultimately, though, as Sasori, especially when he brings out his 100 puppet style, Sasuke just does serious fire jutsu and starts to incinerate the vast lot of them. Sakura blasting throws, Grain uses her, I believe, 10 treasure or something like that. So ultimately, Sasori I think gets brought down. I think he gets brought down a lot more effectively than there wasn't just the seal. Sasuke immediately uses like his Sharingan to see the chakra nature of his I don't know what you really call that. His heart, let's say. It wasn't really a heart, but his heart. The chakra nature of that, seeing the location of it, and ultimately just it's like and it's like crowd's like you might be able to move that around, but you can't escape my eyes. Very impressive, Sasuke. You would have made a wonderful addition to my collection. So, yeah. That's where we would see the end of that fight, ultimately. Chiyo, I actually don't even think Chiyo would or Chiyo might be poisoned, but because of the answer that Sakura made, I think she would actually be okay, but she ultimately still gives her life to save Gaara's, because we know Gaara was on death's door. On death door. So that's the end of that. Kakashi's also fine. He's not floored, and there is no Gaara retrieval arc. Like Kabuto is probably planning stuff, but I don't. Even if he does give the information about Kabuto going to be a former spy of Orochimaru's, informant Orochimaru's, a informant I have, I'll be meeting him there, in 5 days or however long it was. So that makes it very interesting. Does he just send out Team 7 again, or does he send out, just another team? I don't think there's any reason to really send out Team 7 here. I think they just send out an Anbu team. And Kabuto, as we know, was strong enough to take out Anbu, or at least Anbu level opponents without too much difficulty. So he ultimately is able to, take them out when they find him. Albeit, remember I said in the previous ones, the Kabuto is a weaker version of the canon counterpart he had. So ultimately, this leads us this fast forwards us into the Azuma arc, into the Hidan and Kakuzu. So all of that goes the same, because there's nothing that changes about that. What changes is them going to confront him. And honestly, Team 7, I think Kakashi just goes with Team 7 regardless, as the primary, with Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura playing the backup when need be. And I think the exact same thing happens. Sasuke and Naruto and Sakura show up to aid once, the Kakuzu fight isn't going really their way. And Naruto and Sasuke both look at each other, and they both have like a smile on their face, like, "You ready for this?" Right? It's like, you really think you will stop me? Now they probably use a collaboration jutsu more of, because Sasuke probably has learned some water jutsu at this point, because Sharingan nature, even though as far as I know, he doesn't have an affinity towards it. And if I remember correctly, it did state Naruto as a secondary element would also be learning water jutsu. So, and Sasuke could even learn some wind jutsu. In fact, that would probably be advantageous for him to do, knowing fire as his second. Technically lightning's his primary, but fire's his close second primary. or secondary anyway, at least from what we saw. We always saw him using fire, but as it turns out, lightning was more of his primary element. It was easy. It was the one he learned. So Sasuke and Naruto basically is a collaboration jutsu to stop Kakazu collaboration jutsu. Kakazu was like, the son of the Hokage. You would be an Uchiha. You would be the fine. You'll make fine replacements for my heart. And basically, they just look at each other. Naruto's got Sage Mode on because he's on. I would have to believe 3 years he's learned Sage Mode. I think that would be one of the things that Minato and Jiraiya, especially under Minato's recommendation, he would stress Naruto learns, like, teach him Sage Mode. He's more than ready for it. And so we know he was more than ready for it. And Sasuke just has his Sharingan blazing. And so Sasuke starts creating a fire juice, like a fireball. Not a Rasengan, mind, just like a type of fireball. Well, not even a fireball. What he's doing is he's just adding fire chakra when Naruto's creating his Rasen Shuriken to make basically an blazing inferno Rasen Shuriken. Rasen Infernican? I don't know. They'd probably make up some collaboration art. Not, what was it, Zero Art Style. Like, God almighty, that name. But, and he tosses the technique. And Kakazu tries to block it and, throw it off balance. Does not work because it's just so powerful. So not only does he get the effects of the Rasen Shuriken shredding his cells, he's also getting the effects of being incinerated. So here Kakazu just gets straight out incinerated and killed. And yeah, so that is the end of that arc. And now I'm not going to speed blitz through everything else. We're going to still say it, but we still got at least another part to go through. But yeah, that is where we're actually going to end it. You might be wondering why I'm cutting this short. That is because I'm going to do something. I am not done. I'm doing a reaction, folks. Now, I'm doing a reaction. Not a live reaction, mind you, but I'll be reacting to it live. I won't be streaming. To the Pokemon Presents today for Scarlet Violet, which actually should be starting any minute now. So I'm going to let you guys go. We are ending at the Kakazu Hidan. They've pretty much just ended that scenario very quickly. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks next time. Have a good one.